Well, it's February 1st, and it's time to close out January of 2026. And I had been starting these videos with stories, Scotty C stories. And last month I told you why I would never have a dog in my life. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Well, my mom also created her son such that he would never smoke a cigarette. So how did Mom manage to do that? It's around the same time my sisters and I moving to New Jersey. We're young. We're like 5, 6, and 7 years old because, yes, we are that close in age. Mom and Dad got busy. And around the time they had that dog, I think the kids were harassing Mom about her cigarette smoking. It's like, so why you do this? What does it taste like? What's it like? Why are you doing all this stuff? As kids, they're always curious, always asking questions. So Mom, gets the three of us out there when we're harassing her one day, and she literally takes this cigarette and says, go ahead, I want each of you three, stop harassing me on this. Each of you take a puff on it, and then you'll know what it's like to smoke a cigarette. So I wasn't the first one, and one of my sisters did it. You're going to cough, right? Well, that was it for me. I took my puff on that thing, and I was like, that's it. I don't remember how old I was, 6.5 years old, and I knew from that point forward in my life I would never, ever smoke a cigarette. Anybody was ever going to force me to suck one of those things. There was no social pressure, no matter what. There was ever going to get me to line up and say, thank you, I will take a pack of cigarettes. It's like, no. But my mom was a chain smoker. And she went back and forth on things. And sometimes she'd be smoking it up, and sometimes she wouldn't be smoking it up. And ultimately, she did get cancer. And as soon as she got cancer, that was it. Cold turkey through, until she died. And I don't want that kind of a scare to force me to not smoke. So of the three of us, me and my two sisters, my younger sister, teenager, social pressure, yep, she lit up, started smoking, but she was capable of quitting. So she did it for a tiny bit and then stopped. But my older sister, like a friggin' train. She might even be worse than my mom. But she, I believe, had some kind of a health scare fairly recently. So she has been telling me that she's been going on and off the cigarettes for like a year and a half. I thought she might quit when Mom was in hospice. Nope. Mom dies of cancer and you just keep on smoking. It's like, girl, that's your future. That's a future that I didn't want. And I knew that it was heading my way from the age of 6. So thank you, Mom, for, doing what you did. It was a lesson that was learned. Anyway, let us continue on with the month and all the rest of the stuff. Maybe I'll throw in I'll do my heart rate and blood pressure right now because, hey, why not? A little bit different order of things. All right, January 31st, 2026. I just finished a workout, about 3 3/4 miles, walking pretty fast. Tiny bit of running, not much. And like an hour and a half ago. Anyway, that's the first pass. I've got a sweatshirt on today, but it seems to be working okay. Anyway, what have I got? Less than 120, so I'm high on the high end, but I'm low on the low end. And pulse rate's okay. Let me do a backup here. It's pretty consistent. All right, I'm gonna finish my shop here at the store. All right, here's this month's totals as far as the bucks go. So I like to take $300 a month out of my IRA up here. I made $322, so I covered withdrawals. That's good. Got my taxes paid. Pass-through account, who cares? It's my IRA. I pull $3,000 a month out of it per month. Now, it was $2,500 last year, but I'm now pulling $3,000. It's good to pull more than $3,000 in income from that thing. So that means I don't have to tap into principal. And of course, this is just kind of a pass-through account that's got a few bucks in it. Pay an extra bill or maybe go out to dinner or something like that with the kids. Who knows? Whatever. But I like to make about $300 a month in that one, and I cleared that. But there's always things to do with my IRA. So I've got some dividends, I've got some interest, and I have very few capital gains this month. So I usually like to start with the capital gains, and I'll take some losses against that guy, Prospect Capital, the same amount as my capital gains. So let me do that right now. All right, all those little tiny nitpicking little gains turned out to a whopping $73. Okay, killed off everything except 90 cents of the capital gain. Now I need to figure out what I want to do with interest. All right, those are my interest and dividends that were not directly reinvested. And I'm going to take that prospect capital and treat that as a return of capital, and then figure out what I want to do with what's left. All right, prospect capital, return of capital. Let me get rid of that thing right now. With that out of the way, I'm down to 1138.42. So let me take a look at what I want to do with that. All right, that took a while, but I split that $1,138 between Altria, which is a tobacco company. So yeah, I don't invest politically correct. Hey, whatever. So long as they're paying me, hey, I'm good with that. And the very last shares of Omega Healthcare that was in my money have now been moved over to reinvested dividends. Yeah, I think that's about it for the money. Time to move on to other things. All right, I said last month that my blood work had come in right when I was making that video. So here is the blood work. And I think this PSA thing up here is a prostate test. Apparently there are markers in your blood that can indicate that you've got prostate cancer or precancerous type stuff, whatever. Good to know, don't have prostate cancer. Hemoglobin, not entirely sure what good or bad about that, but looks like I'm below some reference range. Diabetes, so I guess I'm not going to break out into some pending diabetic problem anytime soon. Oh, general blood, just a whole bunch of stuff. And if we run down here, I don't think I got any red marks in any of that stuff. Generally speaking, I'm doing okay. That's always good. I guess I'm not going to keel over as far as just general health goes. What is this one? Looks like it's just more general type stuff. Nothing terrible there. I'm not sure what they were going to get out of that one. Oh, got red marks in here. Triglycerides, 210. Less than 150 is what you're looking for. So apparently this means I've got some fat running around my blood. I think that can be controlled with diet. And every time they come and they look at my blood, they go, oh, do you want to take a statin? And I'm like, no, I don't want to take a statin. You know, it's like, no diabetes, don't have high blood pressure, heart rate's not out of control. I don't have a weight problem. Exercise, I don't really see there being a problem with it being a little bit elevated. Like I said, I should be able to just do some reading and figure out maybe I can add some piece of something to my diet and then knock it down a little tiny bit. But that's better than it was last year. But I didn't fast last year. They didn't tell me, oh, by the way, we're going to be doing this general blood work panel. So I don't know how long it was before they took my blood that I'd eaten. This time I fasted. I think I didn't eat prior to this thing for somewhere around 12 or 13 hours, which is plenty. Anyway, let's get on to the workout. Yeah, I did a workout today. And it is February 1st, so it's not actually valid for January, but let me show you what I get to do for one of these things. Just come in here, you say run, because I think I went fast enough today to record it as a run. Distance, I did 2 laps plus a tiny bit. Let's see, it's 265 and 265 is 5.4 miles. Let's see, my daughter said I got back just short of an hour, so let's call it 57 minutes. February 1st, time of day, I think I got out the door about 1. It is, of course, Lawrence, Kansas. Most of what I do is on the sidewalk. The temperature was 40. Beautiful day today. I hate 40. It's too cold for me, but compared to what it's been, weather was mostly clear. It was a little bit overcast toward the end, but not bad. My average elevation around here is about 850. To go to the top of the hill, I have to go up about 160 feet or something like that. 2 160s is what, 320? And then of course I got to come back down, 320. Average heart rate, which I don't care about, don't track those. And notes, okay for first day of February. Well, the power went out just as I was about ready to hit the save run button, and that was nearly an hour ago. That's how long it takes a Windows computer to reboot, or at least my computer. Anyway, let me show you how my computer's like wired up here. Let me I'll turn the camera around. I'll show you my wiring over here. All right, I got a giant ass router. That guy right there. Lots of good antennas. Very high powered to tie into the thing downstairs. Everything that I've got sitting on my desk is hardwired. So I've got 2 computers. The blue, the white, I think the yellow goes to a printer. I've got a printer right down there. Got, of course, a power to power up the device. So that's, that's what this little extra one is. And then, of course, you've got a whole bunch of devices that you got to plug in. You got your computers, your printers. I think I've got an extension cord running somewhere. Well, one of the things happens to be my speakers. So I got to have my speakers powered up. But anyway, yeah, it's a spaghetti mess back there. And when I rebooted the computer, this camera that I'm holding right now, for some reason it activated even though nothing was using it, and it prevented the software from activating. And then I had to like trace the wire for this thing back over behind the computers there, which ordinarily it's pretty dark and pretty narrow, so I couldn't really feel it, so I had to undo a bunch of the wires to get it there. Yeah, and this stuff isn't too much Wi-Fi, All my stuff is hardwired into that one device right there. This guy and that guy right there does duty. And there's one wire that's like hanging down here that runs the TV that is back over my shoulder right there. So even the TV is not Wi-Fi'd in. Everything's hardwired in. It is fast. Yeah, I like my computer stuff. Fun and games, I've even got a spare wire. If I unplug the TV, I can like hook my laptop in. It's pretty funny. Even my laptop is Linux, and it'll boot up pretty fast, even though it's an old computer. Anyway, let me go ahead and submit this record and see if I got any typos in it. I don't. 1033 per mile. That makes it a run because it's less than 11 minutes a mile. Let's check the log out. And there's my February 1st run. As we look through here, I haven't run in a long time. Look at these temperatures. I don't like running below 40 degrees. It's just a pain. So I got a 5 degrees in there. Must have been pretty calm. 2.5 miles at 5 degrees. Whoosh. 15 degrees. It's balmy, but the wind must have been whipping. Here's a 30 degrees at 1.25 miles. Too windy. Yeah, there's a tough month. How far back do I have to go before I got a big run? Here's January 12th. I got my last big run in. Lovely 55 degrees. Let me see what else I got for January. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I decided that I hadn't actually been getting my yard work in. It's like during the best part of the day, I end up going for a walk or a run. I come back and I don't want to do any yard work, so I decided to blow off running and do some yard work, and I figured I wandered around my yard for a 1/4 mile, and I was out there for about an hour. I've done that a couple of times. I don't know if I've recorded all of them. January 1st. I think I did a little bit of orienteering. There it is, 1.5 miles. Might have been 2 miles, who knows. Not a bad month. Let's see if there's any summary statistics I can look at here. Monthly stats, I got 7 runs in, 4.3 miles per run. That's not too bad. Time per mile, 10:10. It's not too bad for this time of the year, given how cold it is. I run better when the temperature's like 70. I just feel good when it's 70, 75 degrees. Got some walking. How did I do with my walking? 58 miles, 22 walks, 2.7. Oof, that's low. Like I say, it was pretty nasty. But the time per mile is pretty quick. It's so cold out there, it's like, forget about taking a leisurely stroll. I'm just going to go fast as I can. Get back to the house. Kind of slow down in January and kind of let my body recover a little tiny bit. My knee has good days and bad days. Yesterday, my knee was a little bit sore. Today, it seemed to be okay. Hey, check it out. How'd the channel do last month? Views about the same as last month, December. Watch time down 17%. Yep, that's been a trend. Subscribers, yeah, it goes up, but the rate at which it goes up is dropping off. So down 45%. I go back and forth on whether I want to continue to just do stuff technical wise. I mean, I'm going to continue to post videos as to what I'm doing with the car, but those technical vids, sometimes it's like you put so much friggin' time into it. Like the last one, that was easily over a month. I mean, I've got references that I was like holding on my browser for, who the heck knows, 3 or 4 months. You just see something kind of neat and you just kind of tuck it away. And then once you've got enough stuff, you put it together. But literally, it took me about a month of working my way through the pieces to get that video done. And then you pop it out. What did I get? 40 views. So I got 1,000 subscribers and a video gets 40 views. That's just kind of like, oh yeah, slap in the face. Let me just stop doing this stuff. So anyway, that's how the channel did. And hey, there we go. This is one of the things I usually do during the wintertime. I make puzzles. And if you watch some of my videos, I'm almost always doing some kind of an experiment. On top of one of these, I usually like to leave a nice one on the table. the end of the winter. And that's the one I want to make right now, but I don't want to leave that one on the table, so I got to get another one done. Anyway, I finished this one up, started in December, and finished it up a couple weeks ago. As I've gotten older, I can't sit here. This is not a particularly ergonomic way to sit. It makes my back hurt. So no more than about an hour a day, or I end up, having a week of back pain. Flip open the computer right there, put on like some kind of a YouTube TV show. And right now I'm watching The Dead Zone, which has been pretty entertaining. But anyway, wintertime activities. All right, book and movie review. Well, this is the book that I read last month, Leviathan Wakes. And it is an award-winning book. And there's a series of them. As you can see here, you've got some other ones by James Corey. And instead of a movie review, how about a TV show review? Because they took this particular book series and they turned it into a pretty decent TV series. Let me show you that. The show is called The Expanse. And let me see. Can we see what it's rated? No, I'm in the wrong place. Better. IMDb 8.5 and Rotten Tomatoes 95%. So it's a good pair. Anyway, let me see if I can't finish things up here. Okay, let me close out this video with another quick story, hopefully. All right, I've been doing running stories. This is finisher medal from the Hewlett-Packard Houston Marathon from, I think, 2005. Anyway, I've run 2 marathons in January. This is the second of the 2 that I ran. I was in really good shape for this marathon. I'd been doing a bunch of treadmill training. Basically hit the button and say, okay, I want to run 8.8 miles an hour, and you run 8.8 miles an hour for the next hour. And aerobically, it was fantastic. I mean, I cruised through the first 5 miles at probably at about 7 minutes and 10. I figured I was going to be able to do a relatively easy personal best. I figured I had an easy 3:08, which would have been a 1-minute personal best, on an outside shot at 3:07, 3:06, maybe even a high 3:05. Beautiful weather. I was hydrated. I'd had the right amount of food. I felt fantastic. No injuries, nothing. Treadmill training got me. 5 miles in, and I was just like, well, aerobically, this is nothing. But I felt all kinds of pain up here in my shoulders, my arms, and you get weird pains in this part of your arm when you start running. And this part of my arms was just painful because you're sitting there, you're bouncing your arms like this, mile after mile. And if you don't get the right kind of training in this stuff, just the tendons right down in here, your upper forearm right there, because you're holding your hands kind of like this, and it going like this. So these tendons kind of get strained. Real training, you can do it. You can run a marathon. You can go out. You can chug along for 3.5 hours, and your arms won't be what's bothering. It's going to be your legs. Blew it. Got to the halfway point. Remember yelling over at my ex-wife, telling her something's wrong. I'm not going to be at the finish line when I expected to be there. And somewhere around I think I got to around 17. And it was like, well, that's that. And so over the last 9 or 10 miles, I ended up slowing down about 2 minutes a mile. So instead of doing 7:10 a mile, I did about 9:10 a mile. And it wasn't a terrible time. I think I ran at 3:27-ish or so, something like that. Yeah, a bit disappointing. An awful lot of work. And I think that was the last shot that I really had at running a PR. I was starting to get a little bit up there in age. 2.5. Anyway, let me get out of here. I'll do something else next month.